Hello everyone, I'm Mahesh, as Arpita gave my intro. So I'm here at FlytBase from around 2 years or so, being a software developer. So I have hold the complete loop of writing, building, testing, and deploying applications. And as you have seen the title of the today's webinar, so today we'll be more deep diving on the testing side than rather than a developing. So just give me a minute, I'll be sharing my screen. So hope is it visible? Yeah, sure. So, uh, as as for the title, so what we'll be discussing today is kind of an agentic approach to the product QA. So, the agenda for today's session will be we'll discuss the current challenges in the current system that are still automated, and we are using some kind of LLM part into it. The challenges that we face, the solutions that at FlytBase we have developed and how it's working for us, and then we can go to some learnings and Q&A. So let's get started with the current QA hurdle. So as if you have seen, in current system, we have different frameworks to automate, write script, and do the testing part. But there are some hurdles that are facing. And with the recent adoption of LLMs, we are able to generate code at massive rate and at very fast pace. So you can generate tons of lines of code in a day, but the testing is becoming a nightmare because generating code is easier, but the quality of the code, because at the end of the day, it will be solving some user's problem, and that needs to be accurate, stable, reliable, and that is the job of QA system to hold on that. So uh, as far as we are FlytBase building an drone autonomy platform, our most of the interactions with the hardware are based on the event. So our system is almost 80% system is event driven and distributed. So testing such system is still a complex and a tedious job in even traditional QA things. So we were facing this challenge majorly. Then another challenge is automation speed lag, because development is moving at very fast pace and QA needs to capture that with the changes that are happening in the development cycle. Then end-to-end test gap. Current LLMs are better at generating unit and integration tests, but they are still lacking the end-to-end test because they don't have the context of your whole product, because you will have millions of lines of code and that is spread across, which cannot fit into a single context window of an LLM. Then maintenance overhead. As I said, code is rapidly evolving. Also, we are like the cost of rebuilding things is less. So most of approaches are like we are scrapping most of the code and generating a new, and that is becoming an overhead for the QA systems because they need to also match that space. So these are the common challenges that we also face, and a traditional QA system in general industry faces. And the amount of challenges will increase going forward because code generation is becoming easier and easier. So what solutions at FlytBase we figured out will work for us? So first we needed an QA framework. After researching in an industry, the traditional framework that are used for front-end testing as well as the API level testing. And we built our own custom framework. The native stack is a robot framework, if you have heard. It's kind of an RPA framework. So we have built our own custom framework on top of that with several other components that involves simulation engine, and further we'll discuss that. It solved one problem, like testing complex event-driven system, but still the other challenges are there, like to match the pace of development, get better quality tests, end-to-end tests, considering the product context, user analytics, and so much other things. And the observability, because if tests are breaking, then why they are breaking, what needs to be focused in a product to improve on them, and that real-time observability from kind of an active, not the passive that you developers will go and see what is failing or something. It's kind of in front they are getting. So this is kind of solution that we went into. So I will just jump to the solution itself, and then we can go to the live demo to understand it better. So after researching and doing some experimentation, we felt that this approach would work, and it's working currently. So our major QA system has been segregated into four major parts. So first is, as I said, we have built our custom framework, which is giving us more flexibility with this agentic approach. As the QA framework is built on top of the agenda, that the test will be in a natural language. So they will be in a BDD format, which is common industry format in a testing industry. But we have developed a framework such that those BDDs will be transferred easily via layered architecture. So we can use a lot of reusable components, and LLM will be better at producing those outputs. So the major four components are, sorry, I'll minimize it. Sure. Hope you are able to see the full screen now. So the major four components is first to generate those natural language tests. Then there is a complete implementation of those tests in our system, that is custom framework. Then there is an executor agent. We'll need to execute those tests plus observability of those tests. So for execution, we are still dependent upon the old automation servers, which are pretty good at that job, but they are added with the observability things, so that becoming an execution agent. And for simulation, as I told, we work with drones, and drone is one of the integral is becoming another integral part of our testing things. It's a hardware, so we need to mock and same behavior what actual hardware does. So we have a complete simulation engine, which is segregated in different parts. So the names you can see on screen, those are kind of more in detail. So, but and high level abstraction, these four agents works together to build and run a single test case with periodic approaches, having real-time observability. So we'll understand and get into the demo of a couple of agents. So I'll start with the test writer agent because we'll be able to relate more with it. So test generation agent. So the input to the test writer agent is kind of like the test file. So if you can see on my screen, this is something which will be generated from the output of the first agent. The agents that are built up on top of the Anthropic Cloud APIs and SDKs. The output consists of the natural language test. So this is something which not even non-tech guys and business guys can understand, because this is more related to the how users use your platform, not how your internal things are built, like not on the core architecture part. So this is kind of an natural language BDDs, and now there is a job to convert these BDDs into actual tests that will test our infrastructure and systems. To convert that, this is test writer agent, which is a kind of a meta agent, which has almost three agents into it. One is planner agent, because if you have seen, I have showed you a test file, which has almost 40 plus test cases. And if you just provide this file to any LLM, agent coding agent that you have in your IDEs, it will be hard for that agent to accurately develop those test cases. So we do have a planner agent. What it does, I'll show you. Then we have a rack server. Why there is a need of rack server, then you will ask. So the context, because as I said, we are majorly focusing here on E2E test, and that needs product context, that needs your source code context, all the tests that are being written, and a couple of other tools that we use to enhance the output of coding agent. And here our coding agent is majorly Cloud Code, equipped with the planner and RAG servers. And there is a test execution and reviewer agent. So basically, these are tools where tests get executed while the agent is writing tests to make sure that the outputs are pretty much correct. So and review agent give it continuous feedback so that whatever the things are getting developed, they are as per the standard of the testing repository. So this whole setup works in coordination for almost an hour. So I'll show you a quick demo. I have a recorded video, so it takes around a time. So the test file that I showed having 40 plus test cases. Now, how planner agent comes in picture here. So for planner agent, we are using a taskmaster library and a wrapper on top of it. So our custom wrapper built on top of it, which makes our job easier and very dumbify, so any developers can just jump into and use it. So hope my terminal is visible. So from the test file that I've shown you, that test file will be passed to this planner agent, and it generates the task depending upon the priority, depending upon the dependency with other tasks. this is pretty much the taskmaster does, but our wrapper enhances its context and many other things. So this is how the output of the your task planner looks like. Once this output is ready, then we move forward to our coding agent. A rack server is already built. It's kind of a pipe. There are rack pipelines which periodically run and update the racks. And those rack server exposes a lot of tools for rack querying, for running tests in an isolated environment, accessing browsers and other things. Going forward, so I have a recorded video of how our execution agent works. So we have some exactly tested prompts so that people need not to think much for writing the test, implementing them. So then you just need to start and jump into the cloud code with all the settings connected, all the servers connected, and then they just need to push the prompt sequentially. 2 3 prompts are there to get him into initial context and start doing things. So if you have seen here, so the first prompt actually asks the cloud code to go through the repository, understand how it's structured. There are layered structures for understanding what to access, when to access. So get those things first loaded into the memory, so which also prevents the context overflow. So we are not loading complete repository initially. We are loading some documents which have references. Okay. So I'll just reset. I just got it. So I'll increase the playback speed. So as you can see, the agent has read all the context from the first second prompt. Then it checked out the tools that are available with him, and then it's now it reads the test cases file that is available and generated from the first agent's output, and it start implementing. Now, while implementing, it will query. It has things into its prompt, so it will query to the rack servers for everything. So if you can see, I'm just from interrupting him in between and asking him, like, he was trying to do some dependency analysis on Python, but we are using some different dependency management tools. So I asked him to query to rack server and get the information, and he just started. And so it will continue to execute all the tasks and complete in one shot. And the output that we found with the first shot is almost 80% close. And just a review of 1 or 2 manual reviews and just some feedback get him to 90, 95, 96%. So that is kind of a great achievement, because having 40 test cases and starting implementing them with the traditional approaches would take 2 3 days at least to get the quality test output. But with this, you can get all those tests implemented, running, and accurate as per your standards within an hour or two, not more than that. So this is what we are able to achieve with this system. And there are other couple of other components as well, test executor agent, then simulation agent. And so I don't have the actual demos right now for them, but yeah, they do works in a similar fashion, coordinating with sub agents with each other and producing the outputs. So with this QA system, right now our pace, like as I said, we are able to match the development pace. If development happens in a day, we are able to catch up the test in the next day. So this is kind of a pace we are able to match, and we are able to write quality context-based tests according to product, not just what LLM spits out, because it has a world's knowledge base and it can write tests for you, but those tests might not be the relevant what you want. So this is what the problem that we are able to tackle, and we are progressing into it. So it's not 100% solution that we wanted. Actually, we want this system to evolve such that no human intervention is required. Currently, we need to prompt in between sometimes these sections, like first agent's output need to be passed to second via manual things. And we want to evolve into such a system where you just specify the module, you have your PIDs and everything, and that is passed into the system, and the whole test generation, execution, and the things are ready to test your development before you start development. So more like a TDD approach, but this is end-to-end test case approach. So this is what our vision to evolve into, and we are marching towards it via experimentation and the things. So this is the flow that I explained via demos. And key advantage is also told. So we are able to accelerate the cycles, improve efficiency. Test coverage is getting faster and better every day, and achieving higher product quality with the active alerts what was happening. The learnings that I have to share out while we were building this system. Majorly, we tried to do a lot of experimentation around things. So, as I said, we developed our custom framework to match, because we understand what LLM actually does better, and we wanted a framework that evolve around LLMs, because if they are going to write whole the test cases, then they need a suitable environment kind of thing. So, by experimentation, we build our custom framework around them, which actually a source code test, right? But it's built around LLM focus mostly. An experimentation we found what were like we at least before we arrived this solution, we slapped two other systems that we built to solve the same problem. So yeah, the experimentation is the key, and continuous feedback is also needed. So these are the couple of learnings, and yep, now we can proceed with the questions that are there. So yep.
Yes, thank you so much, Mahesh. That was pretty great. And also, just to comprehend for everybody, can you just tell me the before and after effect of it? So basically, before you used to take say X hours of time to debug your code and whatnot, and now what's the scene?
Sure. So mostly debugging code is still today a challenge, but on a testing part, previously we were having actual QA people sitting whole day and writing script like automation script for browser automation as well as the API automations, and it was used to, like as I said, as I showed you, a single test file which was for a single module in our product. So there are almost 100 modules, and that single module has independent 40 test cases. If I say I would be writing them in a traditional approach, even with the help of LLM, I would take at least 3 days to write and get them running. But with these systems, we are able to make them up within 2 to 3 hours with the same quality that we had developed manually. So this is what the pace and the speed that we are able to achieve with this system.
Okay, yeah, that sounds about great. So I think everybody realizes how powerful that is, and it's gonna help a lot of QA people get some more sleep now before prod push, so that your agents can just get to work. Right. Okay. So moving on to the Q&A section. So we have Gaurav who's raised hands. Gaurav, can you go ahead and ask your question?
Yeah. Hi, Mahesh. This is really good and amazing. Good work going on, man. So I just want to understand like how. So you said like the execution is happening with respect to creating test cases. So I just want to understand how you are connecting that with your test framework. Like what framework are you using internally to run those test cases created using RAG? Like how you are doing that?
So as I said, we built a custom framework on top of robot. So if you are familiar with robot framework, which is an RPA framework similar to other that are available for automation.
Yes.
Yeah. So how it helps us is actually the BDDs are converted into robot, and our framework is kind of a layered framework, not just a robot. It has a lot of extensive other things, and those layered test cases are getting executed. So we have in RAG server. So basically, the MCP server that I showed you, it serves RAG plus it serves tool to execute those tests in isolated environment. So it's kind of spin another terminal with full place things that are available to run that individual test case, and it returns the result to LLM. Also, it opens the browser to see because if you traditional robot test case are how like they show every detail execution. So those results are also returned back to agent, and now agent with the result return, agent can now query back to RAG server. RAG server has examples of like if there is a failure in writing a test case. So there are a couple of examples what failures can be and what solutions need to be implemented. So it can query back to RAG server to get the context and restructure the test and again run it via tool. So this is kind of the flow is.
Okay. Cool. Thanks, Mahesh. Thank you so much. Yep.
Yes. Thank you, Gaurav. So we have HP who has raised their hand. So can we just know your name before you ask the question?
Yeah, my name is Hasmukh. I'm a senior QA developer. So my question is like, if I have to implement this thing and for the product based thing, and I have to implement for only particular one module. So what are the precondition for that one?
So, like, it would be great if you just give some of the requirements that you are expecting from that module to be like, that would be great to answer.
Like I have to check the add form, add, edit, and delete functionality, one of the module. So how to implement that things for that one?
So yeah, so if you are talking from a browser standpoint or from an API standpoint, both approaches are like fine. So if you just want to particular functionality of module, even from a browser side, like the system that I showed is kind of a full-fledged framework, agentic framework, but for a particular use case or a module, you can just have a single agent, like your many LLMs like Claude or any other that you prefer to use, and a simple agent built with a line graph on top of it, having access to Playwright MCP and the other tools such as API calling tool and other tools will help us to just able to achieve the test in a particular module. So that wouldn't be much complex for a single module. Like if you have the accurate requirements from it, like as you said, you want to test a CRUD based on the browser or based on the API. So that would be much easier to create with LangGraph. So yep.
So we have to provide all the details, like what we need to do, like CRUD operation on which places and what are the URLs for that one, that we have to provide it, and then it will generate all the test cases for that module.
Definitely yes. At least you need to make the agent first walk through like what you want to do. It might like there are a couple of approaches for this. One might be you have the screenshots or a recorded video of how you actually test it once to make that agent understand your flow of what you want to test, or you can have it in a wording text, like as you said, describing which URL to visit, what to do. So it will do in front of you, like it will visit that URL, it will click on the form, it will fill up the information, and behind the scene, it will keep generating the test as well. So these are the couple of approaches that can be tried.
So for that LLM, what kind of like AI we have to utilize? So that that will be create that kind of the agent.
Sorry, come again.
So I have to test that model something, and what kind of LLM I have to utilize, so that will achieve that my goal.
So right now, mostly the standard LLMs, like even if you go for OpenAI LLMs or Anthropic, they are pretty good at doing this job. So you need a LLM which can have a native tool calling. So if you visit to the LLM providers, they provide models which can call tools. So it means if you give some instruction to it, it can ask back for a tool call. So it will call actually tool from your server and get the data back what he needs at runtime. So you'll need such LLMs which have ability to call tools, and majorly OpenAI, Anthropic, and Gemini provides that. So these are the standard that you can go. But if you are thinking about any open source that are hosted using Olama, then you need to check whether those LLMs are able to make a tool call.
So that are purchase tools, or that is free tools that we can utilize.
So like here, the tools means actually like whenever you are building agents on top of an LLM, you can utilize some freely available open source tool, as well as you can build your custom tools. So tools are basically your code snippets that does some job, like accessing a DB, accessing your documentation of your company, then accessing your PRDs. So these kind of like these are the tools that you can build one time, and it will be available for LLM. So they can be available open source or in-house built as well.
Yeah, thanks.
Sure.
Okay, yeah. Thank you. Just before moving on to Manisha's question, Jay Sharma has put a question in the chat. So he's asking if you have any suggestions for someone who wants to create a similar system, or there are any existing systems that already provide this functionality.
Cool. So yeah, the question depends. Like we were also exploring the existing solution before we arrived at building our own. The existing solutions, the major test providers, like if you see, I will not take the actual names out here, but all the automation platforms and companies that provide the test automation, like they actually write tests for you, given you a specs of open API spec. Like if you provide them REST endpoints, if you provide the actual text documentation, they will write tests for you. But the challenges comes is like you can't give much context to them. Like if you let's say if you have a particular feature, you have PRD for it, if you have internal documentation for it, then whatever developers has did and architecture documents are there. So all those context needs to be there to write better tests, so you can catch up the edge cases. You know your infra better than what outside providers will be. So we felt like there are solutions that are available, but they will limit our test case generation ability. So we went into building our custom. And if you want suggestion for building custom system, then as I said, you need to evaluate first whether the existing tools that are in a market, the companies that provide this kind of tools, they are also agentic tools, but how much they are capable of generating tests for your company, for your requirement. And if that is not suitable, let's move and do some experimentation, as we did. Like, we built this system in around 3 rounds of iteration, and that's how you need to figure out what works. And there are a lot of resources that are available today for building custom agents, and that are pretty easier as well. Hope it answers your question, Jayesh.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. So we have two more questions towards the end. So Manish is asking, have you ever tried integrating multiple APIs that have dependencies on each other's product?
Yeah, do. Because as I said, our most of the system is event driven. It's not only REST, because as I'm expecting that by API you means the REST APIs that are calling and that are having dependencies on each other's resources. So that is one thing. But in our system, mostly it's kind of similar to an API mimicking, but we have to wait for a longer time of response. Like for an example, you say for a drone to go to a particular lat long, then while it's moving to that pathway, you need to check whether the states are propagating correctly. So this is kind of an asynchronous system and have a dependency on multiple parameters. Like, drone should be moving straight away to the destination. It should reach the destination. What is the state in between the destination? So these are the dependencies similar to what we have in a traditional REST-based things. And yeah, we are able to integrate that such test cases with LLMs. So yep.
Okay, yes. Thank you, Mahesh. So Saili is asking if there are any LLMs that can generate the feature file by recording steps.
Yep, we tried that approach as well. Like we didn't actually build that thing. So the thing that I showed you is mostly end-to-end backend testing currently. We are also integrating the Playwright MCP with LLMs and building our own agents to move to the front-end testing. But we explored some products which actually does this thing. Like, you can navigate once and make him the capture, and behind the scene the LLM is capturing the steps that you are executing, and it will write a feature file for you, which you can run directly. So there are a couple of products exist. You can with the Google search you will find them. But as I said, in our case, it's not a generic static websites or even the website that have a forms or something like that. It's kind of in real time. So data will be visually changes, drone moves on the map, and there are a lot of dynamic things that happens. So recording a script once is not that much beneficial for us. So we are also building a front end framework for that. So yep.
Okay, yes. And we have just last question here before we wrap up. So it's from Vishal. He's asking a very good question. If someone doesn't know how to start these tech but wants to use AI for automation testing, what are some ways you can start and implement?
Sure, Vishal. So, like, if you're not that much, like, if someone is not that much in a tech and wanted to start with some automation testing, so as I said, a lot of open source as well as the free tools that are becoming available on cloud, which does this job. Like, they actually take your API specs and generate tests for you in human language, and then they translate into the code. So just to get head start, you can visit some of these websites, try out them, like how it works for you, whether you are able to understand the output they are generating. And like, if you are satisfied, your work is getting done, then it's kind of a win-win job. If not, then you need to start getting ahead to bit into the tech, understanding how agent works, and then build your custom solutions as well. So this is something which you can try out.
Yes, thank you. So I think we just have a couple more questions before we close. Jitesh is asking, he has created a BDD framework, and how can he integrate that with this agent?
Okay, so let me get you. Agent. Okay, cool. So as you said, in the scenario where you create any BDD framework. So underlying the hood, what BDD framework does is it take your feature file kind of an BDD and then translate it into an actual code that executes a test. So it's similar to how you write unit tests. So integrating it with agent, as I showed you, like it will take your feature file which have BDDs defined in it and translating it into the code depends upon, as you said, if you are building custom framework, similarly what we have done with robot. So the framework that you are designing, like it needs to be in more compatibility with how LLM can help and write better code, because the traditional framework, if you go to the PyTest BDD or others that are available, we were facing issues with LLMs because reusability is getting lost. LLMs were hallucinating. It was generating the test content, which was not that accurate, not that optimal, even in consideration of a small test cases. So we built our framework, which is kind of a layered custom framework, which has more reusability. So every test gets very less code added into the system. So this is something which you can try out. Like integrating it with the agent will be depending upon how your framework is suitable with the agent.
Okay, yeah, I hope that answers your question, Jitesh. So moving on to Jawaji's question. So they are asking if they use Selenium and if they have to automate scenarios, how does these agents get the locators to find?
Yeah, this is kind of a common problem that was there. It's pretty solved right now. So for selectors, if you can, like there are kind of two approaches to it. One is the via selectors, that is accessing DOMs and the elements. Another is the visual approach, and visual approach is kind of becoming more and more promising because if you evolve the source code rapidly from development perspective, your selectors will get lost and you need to rewrite the scripts again and again. So visual approach is where Playwright is playing a better game. So they have better agentic integrations like Playwright MCP. If you have tried, you can just plug it into any LLM that supports it and see the results. How it has a lot of tools. Not even to just access, take a screenshot and visualization. It has a DOM access tool. So how it figures out that is the custom algorithm that are there inside Playwright. But from the context, like if you said, I have a login form and you need to fill out the first name. So it just it not just target the first name, it will get that context, read the DOM and figure out where the selectors are located. And this is kind of a visual approach, but there are some other companies like which are prominently working in the DOM, like headless browsers things. So Puppeteer is still doing a better job. There are, I think, Retriever is another one, the player that is coming into this market, and they are also doing the better job of getting the selectors and DOM elements with the help of LLMs and with better accuracy. So you can try out them.
Okay, yes, thank you, Mahesh. So we are over time, but so ending up with $1 million question from Sharvashish. Is this agent available in open source?
So honestly speaking, so anyone can build this agent nowadays. So it's just a wrapper on top of wrappers. So making it open source is not something which is should be suggestible because it's custom to your company. It has a lot of things that are related to your company, but building them is kind of a pretty easy job nowadays. You get an LLM, you plug it with your context, you plug it with the tools that are available, you build your own tools and create an ecosystem. So, and for doing these things, there are a lot of open source framework for. So it's pretty easy job, but our agents are not available in open source. Yeah.
Okay, yes. Thank you for that, Mahesh. So any more questions you guys have, feel free to please join the WhatsApp community where people are always active and just asking questions related to any domain. It doesn't have to be tech specific. And yeah, that's the way we can share and learn. So yes, thank you guys so much for attending this session. I hope it really was helpful for you guys and insightful, and it's maybe motivated you to try out these tools yourself and figure out solutions that are specific or catering to your personal products and problems. So yes, thank you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys for attending session.